you ever struggled to find a book in the Bible? I have. One tool that's really helped me is having the books of the Bible mostly memorized in order. Now, the Bible's been organized in a lot of different ways over the years, but odds are if you pick up one of your English translations that we use as Protestants, it's probably going to be in the same order pretty much every time. And so this can really help when you're trying to find maybe an obscure book or a book you're not as familiar with. So one way you can memorize the order of the books of the Bible is by chunking it, breaking it into its component parts to remember kind of the neighborhoods of where different books are. So the most basic way we can chunk our Bibles is by Old and New Testament. But we can go further than that. The Old Testament we can break into 4 parts: Torah, history, writings, and prophets. And similarly, the New Testament we can also break into 4 parts: Gospels, Acts, the letters, and the book of Revelation. Now, if you can get those 8 chunks, you're well on your way to being able to figure out what neighborhood of the Bible you're in. For example, let's say I hear Ezekiel, and I remember that Ezekiel was a prophet. So I open my Bible and I find Proverbs. I think, oh, Proverbs was one of those wisdom books. It's in the writings. And so then I know that I just need to turn a few more pages until I get from the writings to the prophets. And maybe along the way I'll remember that, well, Ezekiel was before or after Daniel, but I know I'm in the right neighborhood and I'll get there eventually, right? So you're well on your way. But we can break it down even more than that. 3 more sub-chunks that I want to break down for you. In the history part of the Old Testament, you can remember what's in the history by these 3 memory devices: JJR, 121212, and ENE. We'll get to those in a second. For the prophets, you can remember that there are major prophets and then minor prophets that come after those. The major prophets are just longer, not necessarily more important than the minor prophets. And then when we get to the New Testament in the letters, can chunk that down even further by remembering that there's letters by Paul and then letters by other people. Okay, now we're almost there. Let's go to the full 66, okay? So, in order, we've got the Torah in the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Those are the first 5 books of the Bible. Now, that history section we mentioned, let's go back to those acronyms. JJR stands for Joshua, Judges, Ruth. 121212 stands for the 6 books that have 1 and 2 before them. So 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, and 1st and 2nd Chronicles. And then ENE stands for Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther. So that's the history books. For the writings, you've got Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Songs. All right, we're almost to the Old Testament. Major prophets are Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentations, which is a book written by Jeremiah, and then Ezekiel and the book of Daniel. Those are the major prophets. Now, for the minor prophets, this was the hardest part for me to learn. And I learned a song when I was a kid, and I still use it to this day to help me get through the 12 minor prophets. It actually starts with Daniel, so I'm going to start there. Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and the last book, Malachi. Well, you're welcome to reuse that and listen to that as much as you want until you've got it memorized, or you can just read on your own. Now, for the New Testament, we've got the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are the 4 accounts of the life of Jesus. And then for the letters, we've got the letters by Paul, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and then for the rest, you can remember these 2 devices. Girls eat popcorn. That stands for Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. And then T5. There's 5 books in a row that start with T. 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, and then finally Philemon. Those are all the letters by Paul. And now for the letters written by other people, a lot of these just sound like names, so you know they're towards the end of the New Testament. Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, 1st and 2nd, 3rd John, Jude, and then finally Revelation. If you made it all the way to the end, thanks for watching this. That's really awesome. I don't expect you to have fully memorized all 66 books and know the order from this video alone, but I would hope that you could go from here and have a slightly better picture of the different neighborhoods or chunks of the Bible that exist. And if you want to really nerd out and learn more about kind of how the Bible is organized and put together, then there's some great Bible Project videos in your booklets as well that you can use as resources. Thanks. Bye.